Okay, let's build circuit number 3. The circuit we use a transistor in, so this is going to get a little more exciting and complicated. Transistor, the one I'm holding here in my hand, has a metal case. They come in metal, they come in plastic. This one is metal. And they have 3 wires, the emitter, base, and collector. The emitter is, like it says, it emits the electrons. The collector collects the electrons, and the base controls the amount of flow of electrons. So what we're going to do with this device is we're going to place it in series with the LED so that when we turn the transistor on by applying a small forward bias to its base connector, what happens here is that the transistor turns on, it's going to be in series with the LED then will light. When we remove the base bias, the transistor will stop conducting and the light will stop. Will go off. Alright? So, the first thing we have to do on this is to identify the base, emitter, and collector. Now, this transistor has, I don't know if it's visible here or not, but it has a small tab, and you can see this better in the photograph in the book. But there's a small tab that's sticking out the side there. Okay, that identifies the emitter. So the wire next to that is the emitter. Now, the next wire around will be the base. That's this middle one here. And then the final wire around is the collector. So looking at the transistor from the bottom and having this little tab face in your right hand direction, then going from left to right you have collector, base, emitter. And that's how we're going to hook this up here. We want to put the collector to the LED and the emitter to ground, and then we're going to control the base with a 10K resistor. Alright, so let's get started here. The wires in this transistor are rather short, so we're going to have to bend them and play around a little bit to get them in the lugs. So let's get started here. We will put the emitter to ground. So let me get over here. And they got to be bent out here some more to fit between the lugs. Something about like that. There we go. Alright, now I'm going to tin the leads of the transistor so that it's easier to solder. And I'm just going to do this right here. You may to go. You don't want to apply too much heat to a transistor. They are somewhat heat sensitive. So soldering them, you need to be fairly quick and don't leave the iron on for a long time. Okay, we got a big old glob of solder on the end of that one. There we go. Alright, now let's go ahead and solder that in. Let's find the emitters by that little tab. That goes to ground. So it's going to go in this direction here, basically. Let's see if I can hold this and do everything at the same time. Alright. I'm going to tack the emitter wire here to start with to ground. And that'll hold the transistor in place so I can finish bending the wires here and getting it in the holes. Alright, now I'll take a little bit of solder and I'll do each one of these connections, I hope, without too much solder. Alright, there we go. Now let's mount the LED. Let's find the cathode, which this one is the short wire. I'll make sure it's on the flat. There it is. Okay. And I'm going to mount it in this direction here so that I know that this side over here is the cathode. Let me get this in here. There we go. And I'll solder that. Oops. Let's get back in there. the wires on this LED leads are kind of heavy, and they conduct the heat away very rapidly. Makes it a little more difficult to solder. Okay. Alright. Now we've got the LED and the transistor on there. Alright, now we need the current limiting resistor for the LED. And for this we're going to use a 470 ohm resistor, which is in your kit. There's yellow, violet, brown 470. And we'll also solder this from the positive voltage terminal. Trying to get the solder to flow a little here. There we go. And then look at this one over here. Bend it around here a little bit. Well, yeah, there we go. And lift up on it so it goes towards the top. Okay. There's the current limiting resistor, the LED, the transistor. Now, we need a 10K resistor that we were going to use. Did I have one out here? Yes. As the base bias resistor. And this will form a voltage divider. The resistance between the base and the emitter, when it's forward biased or conducting, is very low. So when you have a large resistor and a small resistor to the ground, you're going to have a voltage divider that will drop the voltage down to a very small amount. And in this case, to turn the transistor on, we only need about a half a volt. So the 10K then will drop the voltage down to somewhere around a half a volt, turning the transistor on, and then that will cause the LED to light. So let's solder in the base resistor. This is all explained in much more detail, of course, in the manual. And get this on here a little better. There we go. We're just going to let that float for the time being, so we can turn it on and off. What we're going to end up doing is touching it over here to the positive terminal and releasing it to turn the light on and off. Now we got one more problem here, and that is that the collector here is going nowhere. This is hanging out here in the breeze, and that's got to connect over to the LED because we want the current to flow through the LED, through the transistor to ground. So take a piece of hookup wire and tin the ends, and then solder one end over here to the collector, and the other end to the cathode of the LED. I'm just doing this quickly. You probably want to take a little more time and do a neater job. But this is what we'll end up with here. I'm going to bend this over, get out of the way a little. Okay, let's get this up in the air so we can move that over without shorting anything out. Now we want to take a look and make sure that nothing is shorted out and that everything is going to operate correctly, hopefully. Alright, looks pretty good. Let's connect the battery. And so far so good. Get the battery out of the way here. Alright, now when I touch the base resistor to the positive terminal of the battery, the transistor then will become forward biased, causing the LED to come on. And there it goes. Can you see the LED? It's on, it's off. It's on, it's off. It's on, it's off. So we're turning the transistor on through a 10K resistor. It's lighting the LED. The 470 ohm resistor is the current limiting resistor. The reason we went to 470 is because it allows more current to flow through the LED, making it brighter, easier to see. Looks pretty cool. So you can probably think of some things here that you could use. For example, since this is a 10K ohm resistor, that indicates that it doesn't take a lot to turn this transistor on. You know, a pretty high resistance, and it turns on. So what if you had a situation where you wanted to check for water? Water is a conductor of electricity. So if you had two wires or electrodes going to an area where there might be water, when water did appear, it would then cause that light to come on, because it would turn the transistor on, because it would make the connection here between the base and the positive voltage, therefore forward biasing the transistor and turning on the light. So that's one use you might make of this. There's all kinds of uses in the imagination, and we'll be showing you more and more of those as the months go by, and we'll put some stuff up on the private members webpage. Okay, so there we are. That one's done. Now we're going to go work with a capacitor, and we'll show you how capacitors work. All right, we'll be right back.